Let's do.
How are you feeling about game one?
I guess excited, you know. There's always an air of excitement, you know, before your first game. You just never know what you're going to get, you know. It's especially true when you have a lot of question marks that haven't been answered yet. Yeah, so I'm anxious to see. I'm like everybody else probably. I'm anxious to see what it looks like. You know, I know what it looks like sometimes, and we'll see. But it's that time of the year, you know. The season's getting started, and yeah. I gotta tell you, from a coaching standpoint, the biggest danger you face, and I've said this before too, at this time of the year, is the only vision you have in your mind is, you know, how you were playing in March. And you gotta really just kind of get that out of your head and throw it away and say it's not gonna be like that. You gotta, at the same time, I don't wanna go back to last November either. Although, you know, it turned out okay, but so we'll see.
How has KK looked? She said her ankle was feeling really well. How
yeah,
she looked?
She looked good yesterday.
Days?
Yeah, we didn't practice Monday, but yesterday she looked really good, and you know, she's going to go again today, and she'll play her usual amount of time tomorrow. So hopefully, you know, that's the end of that.
You said you kind of felt like Sarah was pulling him back a little bit in the exhibition, whether that was nerves or just, you know, her first time being out there. Do you feel like now that she'll shake that off for tomorrow? That's a little bit higher competition.
I don't know. I think the big thing with Sarah, as is with most thinkers, you know, and pleasers, you know, they're probably the worst kind of freshmen to have. You know, they think too much and they want to just do the right thing. And for Sarah, you know, I want it to be instinctive for her. You know, like I do for all my freshmen. Anytime my freshman comes here, that's the first thing I talk to them about. Like, there's a reason we recruited you. I watched you do all these things. So just go out and do them and don't worry about anything else. Well, that's easier said than done because they're like a nervous wreck. But in time, you know, she's getting the message little by little. Let's put it that way.
Geno, are you more excited about what you think you have as a team or what you're trying to figure out you might have as a team?
Yeah, the team keeps changing, you know. By adding more people, obviously the chemistry changes, the dynamics change. In practice, it can look a lot different because there'll be times you look out there, AZ will be out there, so that makes the team look different. So now if you fast forward and you say, well, you know, of the guys that practice the most, you know, KK out there, AZ out there, and, you know, Morgan was out there yesterday and looked great. You know, Yana looks like she's going to be back soon. So, you know, whatever you see out there now, it's going to look a lot different. And I'm excited to see what it will look like, you know, when we have the ability to just plug in people as we see fit.
You talked about November being kind of the time you find identity as a team. Do you have a sense right now of what you hope that looks like, or is it something that just kind of comes as it comes?
Well, as a coach, you always hope that the identity is what you've been working on in practice. You know, as I said, I mentioned last year's NC State game, I thought our identity was, well, we're going to be a much better defensive team this year, you know, and because that's what we spend most of our time on, and it was, hey, Doc, and it was completely opposite of that. But I do think because of, you know, our ability to shoot the ball, you know, when we get enough opportunities, I think we're going to be able to shoot the ball pretty well. I think with certain lineups, I think we can play a little more aggressively, knowing that we have some reinforcements on the bench. But I know we got to get tougher. We have to get physically and mentally tougher. That's always the big thing with young players, the physical part, the mental part. So that's why, over the course of this month, hopefully there'll be great successes and there'll be confidence builders. Hopefully there'll be some, slap in the face kind of moments that will wake them up to this is what college basketball is, and that we come out of it at the end of the month feeling pretty good about ourselves. That's the best we can hope for.
You've been saying for a while that you want Paige to take more shots, be more selfish, etc. Do you think that this is the year that she's going to do that to a greater degree?
She certainly does in our practices. Yeah. She's been different.
And Sunday.
She's been different. Sunday, I don't think she passed up a lot of opportunities like she would in the past. She is she's making a tremendous effort to force the action on every play. There were times when I think she would maybe defer, just, KK, bring the ball up the floor. Nika, bring the ball up the floor. I'm just going to sit this one out. And I don't see that as much right now. I see more of she wants the ball in her hands almost the entire possession, every possession. And that's good. That's a good thing for us. It's a good thing for our team. There I do see a difference, She actually is showing some of the players little attentions to detail that, all of a sudden she's a master at the attention to detail. Paige and details never really go together, went together for the 4 years that she was here, but she's making a concerted effort. When you're that good, that's to me, that's the greatest thing that a really, really good player can finally embrace. The little details that go into taking you from one level to another. That you get to a certain point on your talent, you get to a certain point on your ability to do things. And then all of a sudden when you realize there's little nuances that if you take care of those things, then you would really elevate your game. And I think she's making an effort to do that.
How important is she just to be able to kind of carry you guys through some of those early moments that you talked about, especially as you're getting players back, figuring things out?
Yeah, whenever you have a player that can do those things, it's a double-edged sword, I think there were times early in November last year, mid-November, we watched Paige play a lot instead of playing alongside of her. So this year I see it, where we're trying really hard to just play together and not just watch Paige be great. So I know that's what she's going to be. I certainly don't want a repeat of last year's Final Four game where, Paige only had a normal game, didn't have a Paige 30-point NCAA tournament game, and we came up short because we didn't have enough from other people. Now we've got more people this year, and I still want her to try to get 30 whenever she can. But other people are going to have to contribute, and it's going to be a process. Luckily we've got Paige and Ash play with her last year. The new guys are confident in their own abilities. I'm excited about what that will look like, and I think Sarah and Paige already have some sort of connection going on the court. So I think that'll help tremendously as well.
Do you think some of that watching of Paige was because you had to play the freshmen so early last year? And they weren't maybe as comfortable as they might have been?
Maybe. But I thought that our team took off when we put the two freshmen in the starting lineup. So You know, it's delicate balance. You gotta always find that delicate balance, you know, between your star player dominating the game and you lose. That balance between that and your star player still being a star, but everyone else, you know, still being part of the show. You know?
Geno, you're one of the few people who can answer this, but I'm thinking of the men starting their season tonight. Is there much difference between winning 2 in a row versus 3 in a row versus 4 in a row?
Not if you have the best team. I mean, if you have the best team and you won 2 in a row, you're going to expect to win 3 in a row if you have the best team. And the only way you know if you have the best team is the coach knows. The coach knows. And the players themselves know it and act like it. If that's what they have and that's who they think they are and that's how they feel, winning a 3rd championship, it's never easy, and it's certainly never easy in today's world, given the changes. But they've proven that, you know, they're just a handful when you get them. Doesn't matter who's on the roster. They've changed rosters, and I don't know that their coach is the kind of guy that tells them it's okay if we get close this year. You know, he doesn't appear to me to be that kind of guy.
Coach, you know, 40 years here. There's been a lot of changes here at the program, but there's been one constant by your side, CD. Can you talk about what that means to you to have spent, you know, 40 years with, you know, arguably one of the greatest assistant coaches in the game?
Yeah, I think if you look at any successful organization, you're going to see some sort of stability, a thread that goes through the whole thing, and it's usually not just one person. You know, I think it's too big, so you need to have someone or somebodies that can tell the story of what the culture is, live the culture every day, pass that culture on, maintain standards. All these things are not easy to do over a long period of time, and you have to have somebody that's driven and passionate and lives those qualities every day, and CD does do that. So it's easy for her to let that, you know, trickle down to the players and to you guys and to the people that, you know, come in this building, and donors and fans and recruits and everybody. Otherwise, you know, it's too big. It's too big for one person to, you know, to handle. It's too big for 2 people to handle. That's why, you know, if it was just me and CD, you know, over these 40 years, we've had a lot of people in our office that do a lot that goes, you know, behind the scenes, and they may never get the credit. But it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And every time I get reminded of it, I get tired just thinking about it. You know, my brain gets tired thinking about it.
Sorry, Mr. Geno, but is KK ready to go? Is her ankle good?
Yeah, no, everybody's good to go today. Tomorrow, I should say. Everybody that should be ready is going to go. So we'll actually have 10 players suited up that can play in the game and want to play in the game. That's always a big thing. They can play in the game and they really want to play in this game. So I'm excited to see, you know, what that looks like when you look down the bench and you see guys that are really anxious to get in, and you have options.
Is that 10th Morgan? Is that 10th player Morgan?
I'm hoping it is, yeah. They haven't told me no. So I'm going with yes. We'll see what happens.
How is she looking, just in terms of just getting her?
It's the weirdest thing, man. When she's on the court, she's a difference maker. She makes plays. She makes things happen. And, you know, when she's not on the court, what can I say? So there's never been a time when we've had her on the court where we haven't benefited from her being on the floor. So the more that we can have her out there, the more she, you know, gets acclimated to all this. she fills a lot of roles because she's bigger than most guards. She handles the ball like a guard. She wants to be, she wants to play in the lane a lot like a forward. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that one.
What are you expecting to see from BU? I know one of the guards had 23 points in their opener the other day.
You don't know. They're probably in the same situation as every other team. They have one game under their belt, so maybe that, that gave them an inkling of who they are, what they are. But obviously, their team is built around their guard play, and it's a different team than they had last year. And I would think that, like every other team that we play, they're going to play. They're going to play. You get a team like BU, and you go down to the XL Center and be a big crowd, and they're either going to go, "What are we doing here? Let's hurry up and go home," or they're going to go, "Wow, this is a great opportunity. Let's play our ass off." Generally, that's what happens. Somebody trying to get in, Anna. Somebody trying to get in over there.
Maybe.
I think those guys want to come in.
Do you like the new look of Gamble, Geno?
I do. I mean, the scoreboards at first were a little bit, you got to get used to it. Just the overwhelming size of them, But it's like when the music is on, when things are going on at the start of the game, you can actually feel it in your feet. You can feel it on the floor. So, if we can get the pyrotechnics working, I know a lot of guys that are fire nuts. I get them up here, they'll start a fire with 2 rocks. We can't get that thing started. I know a lot of juvenile delinquents where I grew up. They'll be happy to come up here and do that.
We've got the baskets up, so.
Well, we got the baskets up. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it's, especially when you get a great crowd and, you get an exhibition game, you get a great crowd for an exhibition game. And everybody's excited about what they can do with the lights and different, things they can do on the floor. And I don't know. That's the world, right? Come for the show, and a game will break out here and there, and let's see if we can enjoy it.
You were there for the end of the hockey game on Sunday.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on just that?
Damn,
whole
man!
sequence
I'll
of
tell you what. It's college hockey is just so great, and I think the remarkable thing is how different it is game to game. Right, the night before it's a 1-0 game in overtime, and then there's 5 goals scored in the first period. The next night, but I mean, for our guys to fight off that 6-on-4 power play, and then the 4-on-3 in overtime, and for us to get the shorthanded goal, they just showed so much character and so much resilience and toughness. I was really, I was like a little kid. I was a fan, I got an education and stuff that fans yell. It was good to be among the fans, so I could hear what's being said at games, and it's quite entertaining as well.
Coach, what has changed about you since 1985? It's been when you first came here. When you look back on all the years and all the things you've been able to accomplish, are you still that same guy that came here in 1985?
Unfortunately, in a lot of ways, I am. I would have thought that there'd be a lot more growth up to this point, but there are times when not much is different. I still have a lot of the same habits. I do have a sense of, which I didn't have back then, I do have a sense of what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to feel like. I have more of an appreciation for how hard this job is every day. When I got here in '85, I thought anybody could do this, I mean, that's what, when you're young and you're arrogant and full of yourself, you can think like that. But so much of me has not changed, but just enough. But the things that used to, really, really, really bother me back then still bother me now. So I think that's a good thing. When we do something really good, I still get this sort of, kind of the same kind of pleasure out of it that I got back then. So, yeah, a lot's changed around me, and I changed, not as much as I thought I would in 40 years, but I saw one thing, right, where it said times change, and it's our duty as gentlemen to change with them. So I've tried to change with the times, but I don't know how much I've changed.